One day my son came to me and asked me, he was like, why are you always so aggressive when you ask me to do the dishes? Why are you aggressive? Why do you say it in that tone when you ask me to take out the trash? And he made me really sit back and look at myself and ask myself, why am I like that? And when I think about it, growing up in my household, he was like, I was like, because I believe in respect, my elders, I respected my elders growing up. And he was like, but respect doesn't mean you have to be aggressive and you don't have to say things in certain ways. So growing up in my household as a child, my stepdad was very abusive. He was verbally abusive and physically and mentally. So that's how he would respond to situations when he told me to do stuff. If I didn't listen, I got the business, man. I ain't even talking about in a real, like disciplined way. I mean, in like a real abusive way. Like it was bad. My stepdad, he hated me my entire life. This man used to punch me in the back of the head for eating too slow. If I didn't eat fast enough, he did a host of things, a lot of different things, which it's weird because even though it traumatized me, I grew up, not exactly like him, but I somehow got some of his traits. And then I realized, on my healing journey, a lot of my trauma came from things he did to me. And I didn't even know that it affected me in my adult life. Until my son approached me that day and was like, well, why are you so aggressive? Why do you say it like that? Why can't you just ask me to do the dishes in a regular way? And I was like, when I really thought about it, it stemmed from my stepdad, bro. It stemmed from my stepdad, doing the things he did to me, how he talked to me, and I didn't even realize I was talking to my kids like this, and until they, approached me and sat me down and we had a real talk about it. And I had to look real deep within myself and ask myself, why am I like this? Why am I responding in these certain type of ways? And, I'm real thankful for my son, because if it wasn't for him, I would have never even realized this or discovered this. So my son saved me, man. So this like a real thank you letter to my son, man, for, making me realize, for making me aware, and looking deep within to see what a root cause of this really came from, because that's how you get to the bottom of the trauma, man. You got to find out the root cause. And with my stepdaddy having such brute force and the way he did things, and it was no love behind it. And in my mind, I didn't even think I was doing nothing wrong because, I don't put my hands on my kids. I don't do that. I may yell at them and say things in a stern way, but he made a good point. Why everything you say, why does it always have to be that same way? Why can't you just talk regular? So he really made me look within, and because it's weird how the stuff he did to me, how I could hate it so much, but grow up and have small traits of it and it still affect me this long and later on in my life. But that's how trauma works. It's real tricky. And because adults will get pre-programmed, they do a lot of stuff. But if you think about it, a lot of the stuff you taught is coming from your childhood. Whatever you grew up around, you most likely gonna grow up and do that same thing as an adult. Probably not the exact same way, in a different way, because like I said, in my mind, I'm not abusive to my stepson like my stepdad was abusive to me. So I didn't think nothing of it. But when I thought about it, I'm like, man, me being like, aggressive, or even if he feel like I'm too hard on him, that does affect the kid, emotionally. And I realized something. I thought that I was the most mature man ever because, I pay bills and I'm here with my family. I'm a full-time dad, and I thought that by me externally being a provider, that meant I was a man. And I had to really step back and look at myself. And I realized that I had not the emotional intelligence level that I thought I had. I was emotionally unintelligent, bro. I had the emotional intelligence of like a sixth grader, and a lot of people are not even aware of that. I'm thinking, because in the way you can determine your emotional intelligence is how you respond to certain situations, how they affect you internally, how they affect you mentally. And that's something I had to, be able to differentiate me being an external provider, thinking I'm a man just because I'm providing and being there for my family, but not understanding that I also got to provide for my family emotionally. But I had to fix myself first, and mature emotionally and not respond to certain situations. Because I remember my wife, we would argue and she would make comments saying like, man, you acting like a child right now. And I'm like, how? And my rebuttal would be, I'm a man. I pay the bills. I'm here with the kids. I'm a full-time dad. I'm like, how am I acting like a child? Not understanding that my responses were letting her know that I wasn't mature emotionally as I thought I was. So when I figured all that out, I went back to the root cause. I'm like, why do I do these certain things? And I figured out, man, my abusive stepdad, I carried so many small, weird traits from him. The things that I hated that he did the most, I somehow grew up and did the same thing, but in a different way. Not the abuse, because I don't physically abuse, but just, saying stuff in certain ways and doing stuff. And it's real weird, man, when you really think about it. Like, how can I adopt something from a guy that I didn't even, that I got abused from my whole life? How can I adopt that? But that's how the trauma work, man. The trauma is real sneaky, and you'll think that most people won't even realize it, man. You'll be doing stuff and it'll stem from something that you seen your uncle or your mom or your dad do at the age of 7. And I had to realize that. And my son, when he approached me, he helped me find myself on that. He helped me break another illusion on something that I was taught. Well, not even taught, something I grew up around, and I thought that it was the right way. Hey, do the dishes, take out the trash. I thought that I had to, put the extra man voice behind it, but it wasn't even about that. It ain't about what you do, bro. It's about how you do it. And I just had to have an open mind to realize that. And then I'm just real thankful for my son, man. This is a letter to my son. Thank you, man, to my stepson, which he's basically my son because I've been there since day one, since he was 1 year old. But just thank you, man, for helping me realize that and be a better person in life. And my son, he's 14 years old. We be talking together like counseling talk. We're a real talking counseling family. But I just I'm just grateful that he was able to help me realize that and overcome that so I can just be a better parent for him and just be a better overall person for my family and my wife as well. But